have you ever wanted to fire a client just for being annoying?
Oh, yes. I don't know a lawyer who hasn't.
I want to talk about Hona because one of the cool, unique things is you were our first client. As you jumped out on your own and started True North, we were one of your first purchases?
The first one.
The first purchase
was
was
my first
Hona.
call, yes.
Yes.
You know, if there was something going on I needed to deal with, I knew about it because they would respond back and I could immediately get on the phone if I needed to, but kept us in a far more stable position.
The worst client you've ever worked with. There's no way you could answer.
Maybe I'm just trying to think of a really good answer.
There's no way you're going to tell me the worst client. Welcome to Live, Laugh, Lawsuit. I'm your host, Levi Lindsay. I have Jake Lee from True North Injury with me. Welcome, Jake.
Hi there.
Well, give us a brief introduction about True North, what you guys do, and about yourself.
Sure. So people like to give me lots of trouble about my name because they're like, oh, that's really cliche. I bet it took you a long time to come up with. And the truth is it did take me a long time. I really wanted the name that reflected our values, and I love the concept of the North Star. For people who are lost, it's there. It's always findable. You never have to wonder where it is, and it gets you to where you need to go. And that's what we hope to be for people after a car accident. We hope to be the North Star for them. So we spend a lot of time working on client education and making sure that they know from A to Z what's going to happen, how it's going to happen, what their job is, what my job is. And my opinion is when we're all on the same page, we get the best outcomes for our clients.
Love that. And free time, you got family, kids. What do you guys like to do for fun?
We don't have a lot of free time. We have three littles. I've got a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and an 11-month-old.
Okay.
And my wife, she works for Qualtrics, and so she travels a whole lot with her job. And we have True North, so we're rocking and rolling most of the time. So in our free time, we just try to find anything fun we can do. We do a lot of swimming, a lot of splash pads. We like to travel and camp and visit our family all over the country. So
yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I have a 6 and a 3-year-old. It's the cutest and most chaotic time.
By the time they're in bed, I'm ready to collapse on the couch. It's just a lot of chaos, but it's a lot of fun.
Tell me this, Jake. Why are kids surprised every night that they have to go to sleep? It's almost like you have to retrain them, or it's like it's a surprise. You're like, no, we did this last night.
Bed. My favorite's in the morning. I don't want to go to school. Well, we're going to school.
Yeah. It's like, you have it so rough.
I wonder if they think they can negotiate their way out of it or something. Because,
sure.
when ice cream's on the table, they can usually negotiate their way into that.
For sure.
Yeah.
No, my 3-year-old she's going to make a good lawyer one day, I'm sure. So, okay, talk to me about your jump from the law firm you were at previously. You were at Good Guys, and then you jumped out of that to do True North. What was that like? Was it scary? What went into that decision?
Yeah, I mean, it was terrifying, if I'm being honest. I had worked over there at that firm I'd been with them for almost 12 years and loved them, loved working with them. And so the decision to go out on my own was a tough one. And, once we got it made, it was like, okay, here we go. We hope this all works out. And it's been one of the best things I've done. For a variety of reasons. I mean, the first one is it really forces you to stand on your own 2 feet. When you work at a law firm where there's a bunch of lawyers, when you have a question, you can just go knock on someone's door and ask. But when it's just you have to figure it out and be way more sure than you used to have to be. So I think for a lot of reasons, it's been a good thing, and I have loved doing it.
Yeah. It's a lot of building the airplane while you fly it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's it been like jumping into... I mean, as a managing partner of a bigger firm, you had a lot of that exposure to the entrepreneurship side of legal and running a firm. But was there a big shift, or was it a little scarier going out on your own and thinking, okay, I've got to finance these cases potentially? How do I start getting cases from the ground up?
Mm-hmm. And I'll make one correction there. I was not a managing partner at the prior firm. I was the managing attorney.
Managing attorney.
Yeah, so I was an employee of the firm.
Yes.
And just make sure we're all legal there.
Yeah.
But the answer to your question is not really, because I had been involved from a very early point doing marketing and being involved in that. So in terms of making that kind of switch, it wasn't too big of a difficult thing to do. I think the hardest thing for me was I thought I knew all the players in the market, and I found out I knew about 10% of them. And so a lot of those initial days were just trying to meet as many people as I could and finding out that there were people I did want to work with and people I didn't, and trying to figure out how to make those decisions.
Yeah. So starting from zero, what are some of the initial things that you did to start bringing in cases?
That's a good question. I was doing anything I could think of.
Yeah.
And that included, what can we do in terms of search engine optimization? And we threw up some billboards, and, we connected with every person I could think of, right? Like, who did I know, and who did I want to meet, and who might have been key players in the market that I didn't previously know. And you know what I mean? Trying to identify those people, trying to figure out how to get in contact with them. So it was kind of a shotgun approach to what do we do? And I got a little bit smarter the longer I went on, and we tried to tailor that in quite a bit more.
Yeah.
So I think for anyone else who would be considering doing this, I would tell them to have a better plan than I had when they go out on their own. Because I just thought I would keep doing what I had been doing. And what I had been doing was very expensive. And when you don't have lots of money, you have to be a little bit more creative.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to get scrappy with low budgets to start. Yeah. So what, if you could look back to yourself, and you're speaking to yourself at that moment, what are some pieces of advice you'd give to that first year Jake starting True North?
Well, I think I'd go even further back than that.
Yeah.
Because I trying to make the decision to go out on my own was really scary.
Yeah.
And what I found was the thinking about doing it was a lot scarier than the doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just, well, what if this happens? And then what if that happens? And I think somebody says in the book, The Millionaire Next Door, the people who are the most successful millionaires are the ones who have no other option but to survive.
Yeah.
And that was what I learned, right? Was once you get out there and really you've bet all your cards on that, you're going to figure it out or you're going to sink, right? Yeah. And there's so much motivation. You're trying to take care of your family, and you come home and you see your kids, and it just kind of lights a fire in you that no matter what, I'm going to figure this out. And I think people can sense that. Mm-hmm. People in personal injury want someone who they feel like is not only going to listen to them, that they can trust, but also who's going to go in there and really fight for them.
Yeah.
And when they can feel that you have that, I think it's very noticeable. I mean, you guys have met lots of different lawyers, right? And I'm sure you can feel who's ready to go out and go toe to toe, and who's like, we'll see what we get.
Yeah. Well, and that's one thing that's tricky about these bigger firms is there's a lot of temptation to treat cases in high volume. And one thing we've discussed with attorneys is the lack of desire to go to trial. Because it's just not as cost effective. Mm-hmm. It's a little riskier, and then you're also taking a little longer to get the payout because you guys work on contingency, and so there is the temptation to just bring in as many cases as you can and just close them as fast as you can and kind of start treating clients as numbers. What are some of the things in True North that you've done to make sure you treat those cases more personably and as people?
I think you kind of have nailed it on the head. From a business model, you're right. It's not quite as efficient to be in litigation all the time. But by the same token, if you are not litigating cases, the amount of value you can offer your clients is reduced. And the reason I say that is because the insurance companies know who's willing to litigate a case and who's not. And if you don't have the reputation of, look, you're not going to play ball with me, we're going to go toe to toe, they know that, and they're going to push you around. Mm. So I think that makes a really big difference. As far as treating clients like numbers, I mean, that's just not who I am or what I'm about. I'm really interested in having a relationship, and so you can't have 10,000 clients and have a relationship with all of them, right?
Yeah.
So I don't take every case that comes in my door. We're selective. We want to make sure we're a good fit for them, they're a good fit for us, and we can meaningfully make a difference in their cases. So with that model and the type of customer service that we're trying to offer, we just don't run super high volume, and we need to make sure that we have time to run the cases that we have.
Yeah.
So we, you know, as any law firm does, we're looking at scaling and at what point does that make sense, and so that we can make sure we're maintaining the customer service that we want to have, and those kinds of things.
Yeah.
So we built in service standards and things like that for our staff that we make them memorize, so that it's very clear what's expected and what kind of client relationship we're looking for. And I think my staff gets tired of me talking about service standards.
Yeah. I like that you bring up service standards, because one of the things is I've heard you talk, and before we were jamming out on some of this stuff before we started filming, processes can either create the depersonalization, or it can bring out more personalization. It sounds like you have focused on infusing personalization into your customer service standards. Selfishly, I want to talk about Hona, because one of the cool, unique things is you were our first client. And then also, as you jumped out on your own and started True North, we were one of your first purchase?
The first one.
The first purchase
were my
was
first
Hona.
call, yes.
Yes. And then I love that you took that and said, I'm going to scale personalization with a tool like Hona. Talk to me about that thought process.
Well, when I left, I was a one-man show, right? Like I answered the phones, I opened the mail, I did all the things. And so with the clients that I had, it was really important to me that we maintain that kind of connection. But because my time was so limited, I had to figure out how to have these touch points without me actually having to do all of them myself. And Hona was such a great option for that, because I could automate text messages, right? I mean, a great example of that is during the treatment phase at that time, we would have a text message go out every 2 weeks that said, don't forget to go to your appointments. We don't want gaps in treatment. And I would set up another automation text message that would say, hey, you know, how's it going? I want to check in and see how you're feeling. And people would just respond to that. And they didn't know that it wasn't me reaching out, right? So from their view, we were in contact all the time. And it allowed us to, you know, if there was something going on I needed to deal with, I knew about it, because they would respond back and I could immediately get on the phone if I needed to. But most of the time, you know, there wasn't anything crazy going on, and we knew that too. So it kept us in a far more stable position.
Yeah, that's awesome. Has there been good feedback from your clients about the customer experience?
I think if you looked at our Google reviews, one of the things you would find is that people feel like we are pretty good communicators. And it's because of some of these tools that we've been able to use that allow us to have more contact points than I think people expect. You probably already know this, but the biggest bar complaint subject is that I haven't heard from my lawyer in a long time, right? So I think the expectation is like, I don't even know if I'm going to get this guy on the phone ever again. Like, I'm probably only going to be working with his assistant. So when that happens and they feel like there's a relationship there, it goes a long way.
Yeah. What has been the effect on scaling your firm through customer experience?
Well, I think when people feel like they have a good experience and they feel like, one, they have somebody they trust and somebody who they trust to do a good job for their friends, it's not hard to refer at that point, right? And so the impact for us has been we have client referrals all the time now. And I'm thrilled about that. That tells me we're doing something right. And we're also, I mean, another thing that Hona does that's great is it allows us to send out surveys, right? So we're checking at various points to see how things are going. And when something's not going right, it's like, okay, how do we fix this so that we don't continue to have a pain point at this location?
Yeah, I love that. I guess shifting a little bit, let me make sure I'm getting on these topics. That, like I said, that was selfish for Hona stuff. Those were some good sound bites.
It's not selfish. It's one of the reasons Hona is a great tool, and why I think you guys have done well is because there's a real need there, and it helps us really in a customized way address some of those issues how I want to do it for my firm, right? And as a business owner, that matters a lot to me, because I'm not I don't want an out of the box solution. I want something that's going to work for my workflow.
Yeah, I love that. Speaking of technology, it feels like you're an early adopter of technology. Some lawyers are reluctant. Some lawyers are going along with the hype. It seems like you're being very intentional about what tools you use and then making sure they get implemented and not just buying into the hype of AI and tools and SaaS in law. What are some other tools you're geeking out over right now or have enjoyed seeing?
I was terrified of AI when that first became a thing. I thought, I don't want it to hallucinate on me. I don't want to be the guy who goes to court and cites some case that doesn't exist. So I was really just apprehensive about AI as a whole. And I started seeing applications of its use. I had a friend who was working on a bill, and they had ChatGPT draft the first draft of that bill. And it was not bad, and legislative drafting isn't an easy thing to do. So the fact that it was able to give a solid draft of that was a big deal. Other things that we've been trying out are having AI draft demands. We've had AI doing medical chronologies for us. The nice thing about some of the software we use is it has AI fields, and it can summarize it for you and then put it into a document, right? So stuff like that's been really useful. But in some cases, it's been awesome, and in others, it's been a giant train wreck. And so in the places it's been awesome, it saves us an enormous amount of time. Mm-hmm. And in other places, it's like, okay, well, this hasn't come quite far enough yet for us to be able to use it, so we have to set that aside. But the opportunities there to reduce the amount of, I'll use a medical chronology as an example. Those take hours. Let's say you have 2,000 pages of records you've got to review. You're going to spend 2 full days doing that. A solid person is lucky if they can get through 50 to 100 pages an hour, right? Mm-hmm. So you got 2 days on that. And if a computer can go through and summarize that stuff in an hour or two, I just saved myself almost 2 days of work, right?
Yeah.
And the accuracy level, at least now at this point, is pretty high. So that kind of stuff is useful when I'm walking into deposition to have something like that, even that I can do a Control F search, or I can ask my case software, like, what happened with this or what happened with that, and it can tell me. It's valuable.
Yeah. It seems the tune has changed so quickly. I can't remember if it was the state of Utah or I think it was the United States. Their stance on AI in legal was very cautious and almost don't use it. And then within a 12-month period, it was like, if you're not using it, then we're mad at you,
yeah.
essentially.
Well, I'll tell you from my perspective only, I was so apprehensive, and then because I was nervous about it, I started trying to learn a lot about it. And everybody was publishing about AI and if you didn't do it, you were going to get left behind. I was like, well, what is it that's so marvelous that I have to have, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's when I just started dabbling, trying to figure it out. I thought ChatGPT was the craziest thing I'd ever heard of. And I use it almost every day now.
Yeah.
I was working on a statute the other day, and I was trying to figure out where in the code to put this language. So I started chatting back and forth with ChatGPT, and within 10 minutes, instead of me having to read the entire code to figure out where it needed to go, we were able to figure it out in about 30 minutes.
Yeah. What would be your caution for lawyers to make sure? I imagine prompting is important to make sure that you're not missing certain things, or that the technology doesn't go rogue or hallucinate. Mm-hmm. What's your advice to someone trying to implement those things and become better at prompting?
I think, at least for me, because I'm cautious in general, I'm just always double checking. The one thing that ChatGPT, for example, is not good at is giving you verbatim quotes of sources when it's putting a lot of sources together. So I'll say, where did you get this from? Well, it came from here, and then I'll go read it, and there's nothing there. And I'll feed that back in there and say, so this didn't come from here at all. Nope, it appears it didn't.
So you have to catch ChatGPT in its own lies.
So particularly when it comes to legal research, I am double checking everything.
Yeah.
And there's, on the one hand, you might say, well, if you're going to have to double check it all, why do it? It's like, well, on the other hand, 1 out of the 10 things it had told me might be incorrect, but I got a whole lot of insight through the other 9 things that I checked and were all accurate. And so it saved me a ton of time.
Yeah.
So yes, definitely has flaws, but as you get more comfortable with it, I think you get better at identifying, like, this doesn't feel quite right. And you can check those things out. I haven't come up to a circumstance yet where I don't know how to say this. It's not like I'm a pro at catching errors, but I haven't come across a circumstance yet where I have been in trouble because of using it.
Right. Right. No, I love that. That's amazing insight. As you've been an early adopter, we've talked about processes, software, AI, how you've implemented that into your firm. It seems like you're scaling True North in a way that maybe other attorneys aren't. Like a lot of attorneys will bring on partners, bring on other attorneys to help out. Are you scaling yours through associates, paralegals, assistants? How's the structure as you grow True North look like?
That is a fair question that I don't know that I have a great answer to. We're just trying to be intentional about what the need is at the moment.
I love that.
Having a partner, I mean, you really have to look at that and go, okay, I'm going to essentially, this is going to be my work spouse, right?
Yeah.
And so what does that person bring that I don't have, right? And so, and you have to make sure there's a good personality fit there. And that can be really complicated. But as you're looking at the needs, like for example, I love to hire people who have no experience in the law. And the reason I do that is because people who are great at customer service, I don't feel like I'm very good at teaching that. And I haven't seen anybody who is. Like people who have it, just have it, right? So I can teach them all the legal things. They already have that really important component. And so that works, right? So I don't know that I have any magical formula. It's just we're trying to be intentional about as we grow, what do we really need? Where are we trying to get to? And does this person fill that need?
Yeah, I love that. That's really cool. Okay, pivoting over to marketing, you tried some billboards to start. Are you still doing billboards? What's the marketing strategy now that you've been in it for a bit?
Yeah. Well, I don't know that I want to give away the crown jewels here, but I'll tell you some of my experiences. Billboards are so effective. I mean, they really are.
Yeah.
And we have so many options here in Utah now. Forever, we just had like Reagan,
Right.
And not that Reagan's not great. It's just that was the only option. And now there's digital billboards, and you can buy space that rotates, or you can buy a whole board, or, they have these things called poster boards, which are more around town instead of along the I-15 corridor. And so there's a lot of options there to try to get your name out. But the difficulty with them is you have to be willing to commit to longevity and really, I guess that's it. You have to be willing to stick with it for a long enough time to get the saturation, right?
And so you're going to spend a lot of money.
You're going to spend a lot of money
until you get the saturation.
Yes, and it can be very effective if you can do that. But if you don't have the budget to do it, there are other places to put your money, right?
Yeah.
And so for us, I think we ran billboards for 14-ish months, and they were great, but I ultimately decided there were more effective places to put our money. And so right now we're not running any.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably good to start. There's a lagging effect of getting your brand out there in one big push and then pulling back. It's like there's probably some people recognize that.
What's funny about it is the awareness grew in the PI community a lot faster than it grew outside the PI community.
Yeah.
So immediately everyone was like, oh my gosh, you went out on your own. I saw your billboard and that's so cool. And so it was funny that's where the recognition grew the fastest.
Yeah.
And it's just because I assume we're all looking at those billboards, right? Trying to see who's new in town. But yes, I mean, you can run a Google ad, but that's not going to hit 10,000 people at the same moment it does all the people who are passing it on the freeway at that moment.
Yeah.
So there's give and take with it.
Yeah. I love that. Pivoting quite a bit, I want to make sure we talk about policy reform and what you are doing to change that landscape.
Yeah. Well, it's not just me. I sit on the board of governors for the Utah Association for Justice, and I also am the chair of the legislative committee. And the organization is dedicated to trying to help people who have been injured in the state of Utah and to help them protect their rights, essentially. So that's what we do. So as a committee, every year we sit down and we look at bills that we want to run, and we look at, once they come out, which is a lot closer to the session, bills we need to defend against. And that is a moving target. I mean, in Utah, we're a much smaller state than many others, but there's almost 2,000 bills that get filed each year. And so to have to be able to sift through those to see if there's one sentence that's damning is a real challenge, right? So there's a bunch of us who are looking through those kinds of things to see if there's something we need to defend against, and how are we going to go about that.
Yeah.
So we have such a great legislature here in Utah. They're willing to listen to our concerns, and many times what we're trying to do aligns with what they want, right? At the end of the day, I think the members of the legislature are genuinely interested in trying to do what's right for the people in Utah.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes the narrative surrounding what is right is the difficult part to get right. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
everybody's spinning it for the way that they want it to be viewed.
Mm-hmm.
And so trying to really get down to help people understand what it is important. And I'll give you 2 examples. We had a big medical malpractice fight last year. When I say big, I mean it was a big fight. Every member of the legislature I've had lunch with since then references this. Like, well, I had to get my bill in for the med-mal thing heated up because I knew once that happened, we weren't getting anywhere.
Yeah.
And in that case, there was a bill that would have capped the damages for medical malpractice victims. And we were able to organize a solid showing at the hearing where we had clients come and share their stories.
Yeah.
And, you have people who are permanently injured for the rest of their lives, and the cost of their care is $100,000, $200,000 a year. And the people on the other side of that issue were like, this is winning the lottery. It's like, no. It costs me $200,000 a year to now help my son who doesn't have a leg anymore or has to have dialysis every day or whatever it is to get the care he needs. So we're not going to Disneyland or flying on a private jet. I mean, what we're doing is staying home, trying to make sure all the needs are met every single day. And that costs a lot of money. So that was a really big challenge. But at the end of the day, we were able to get something that worked out more or less for everybody. And we were able to soften the blow of that bill. But we've got tort reform that is showing up all around the country. There was a devastating bill that passed in Georgia, SB 68, this past legislative session, and it capped damages. It has a collateral source component to it. Liens all have to be disclosed. I mean, it was just damning.
Yeah.
And we're seeing tort reform stuff pop up all over, and we know it's coming for us. So we're trying to prepare ourselves for when that happens and trying to do a lot of education so that people understand if this passes, this is what the end result in your life is going to look like.
Yeah. Where does the push to reform on the other side come from? Why is there a big push to reform those things?
Well, we'll have to decide whether or not we want to edit this section, but obviously the insurance lobby really wants this.
Yeah.
Right. And
we can backtrack out of that. Yeah. Don't worry.
Well, but let me give an answer and we can decide whether or not we want to keep it.
Yeah.
The insurance lobby is anxious for this, right? I mean, they're trying, their obligation is to their shareholders. And so they're trying to figure out how to minimize payouts, right?
Yeah.
And so they're looking for ways to benefit their clients largely in the same ways I'm trying to help my clients, right?
Yeah.
So I understand where that's coming from. So they're pushing that from, well, if we can cap damages. I mean, they love to sell that as the McDonald's coffee cup case, right? Where it's like, oh, you had some coffee fall on you and you got $10 million. Well, isn't that great for you? But when you get into the facts of that case, this person had 3rd-degree burns on their genitals and would never be able to be intimate with their spouse again. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like, how do you put a price on some of these things in the first place, right?
And live with this permanent deformation to a very sensitive part of their body.
Yeah.
So people don't fully grasp that, but when you hear it on the facts and you hear it, see it on billboards and on radio ads, it sounds compelling.
Right.
And so the amount of legwork it's taking to really explain what the effect of these types of policies is it's really important, but it's a lot of work.
Yeah. How can attorneys get involved, stay informed about this reform?
Yeah. So how they can get involved is we want people to be in contact with their members of the House and the Senate. Mm-hmm. And the best thing you can do is know who they are, get their contact information, and they're actually great about listening if you're in their district, right? They want to hear from their own constituents. So, if you can reach out and say, hey, I'm one of your constituents, this is where I live, I'm really worried about this, and explain to them why, they're very open to hearing about that. Yeah. You can go out to lunch with them. I mean, they're great about it. As far as staying informed, it's just keep your ear to the floor, right?
Yeah.
Because when it comes, and I'm not going to say if, because I think it's a when. When it comes, we will be shouting it from the rooftops. So, keep your ear to the ground on social media, watch the news, and it won't be hard to know that it's here when it's here.
Yeah, that's great. Well, where can folks find you if they're going through a personal injury case, or if they've been injured? Where do they find True North?
Yeah, so we'd love to have them call us, or they can find us at truenorthinjurylaw.com, or they can give us a holler at, do you want me to give a phone number?
Yeah, please.
Okay, we'd love to have them give us a holler at 801-849-3664, and we're happy to sit down with anybody and try and walk them through the case and figure out what makes the best sense for them.
Yeah. Great. Well, thank you so much, Jake. We're going to move on to plead the fifth. This is where things heat up a little bit and get a little harder to answer. Let me get to my plead the fifth question. So here's the rules of plead the fifth.
Okay.
You've got 3 plead the fifths, but there's more than 3 questions.
Okay.
So you're going to have to answer some. So you have to be thoughtful about which ones you answer and which ones you plead the fifth on.
Okay.
The first one, and this includes your entire legal career. I like how he's getting the water out. He knows how intense this is about to be.
I'm prepared. I'm just getting ready.
All right. Crack those knuckles. Take a sip of water. All right. This one is probably a plead the fifth, and this includes the entire span of your legal career. The worst client you've ever worked with. There's no way you could answer that. By the way, I love that lawyers try to lawyer their way out of these plead the fifths, because what he's thinking right now is, how do I answer this without answering this?
You don't know that. Maybe I'm just trying to think of a really good answer.
There's no way you're going to tell me the worst client.
I don't know that I have one client, but I have a stereotype for you.
Okay. Yeah, let's do that. Here it is. Here's the lawyer.
Yeah, the stereotype is people who really aren't interested in my advice.
Ooh, I love that.
They'll call us and I'll tell them what the issues are and what the options are. And they're like, nope, I'm not doing any of that. It's like, okay, why did you call?
Right. Why'd you ask for advice if you were?
So and sometimes you'll tell them like, look, these are the issues. This is the settlement that's off the table, given the risks. I think that's a reasonable choice. Like, I'd like to ask for 100 times that amount. It's like, okay, well, we're never going to get that. Let me try and help put your feet back on the ground. And that's the most frustrating, is when people just really aren't interested in any advice you have. It's like, I'm not really sure why you hired us. Those are hands down the most frustrating.
Okay. Let's move on and see if that counts as a plead the fifth or not. Okay. You worked with the good guys for quite some time, 12 years. Who's the better good guy? Christian, or is it, how do you pronounce that? Hymus? Hymus. Who's the gooder guy? Christian or Hymus?
I'm going to plead the fifth.
Okay. By the way, he loves them both, for the record.
Yes.
One's your brother-in-law.
Yes.
All right. That one was a clear plead the fifth.
Okay.
All right. Man, these are actually kind of hard, I think. So, who has the cringiest PI billboard in Utah?
Ooh. Yeah, these are not nice questions.
I got to give you some softballs after this. Hopefully we have one.
I definitely have one in mind.
Yes. Okay, once the cameras turn off, we'll have to hear what that one is. Show us the last photo in your camera roll, or plead the fifth.
Let's see what it is.
It's a screenshot of a deposition, I'm sure.
I'll show you. Are you ready?
Yeah, we're ready.
It's my garden.
Okay, that's a great one.
I just posted that on my social media today.
That's amazing. What are you growing?
I've got onions, carrots, potatoes, squash, herbs, tomatoes, cucumbers.
Okay, that's the most wholesome thing that it could have been. I love it.
I'm glad it was wholesome. It could have not been.
That's great. You've now used... We'll see. We're playing.
We've used one.
We've used one.
Yeah.
Okay. I like it. All right. Have you ever wanted to fire a client just for being annoying?
Oh, yes. I don't know a lawyer who hasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What constitutes an annoying client? We've already talked about not wanting to follow
someone
advice,
who doesn't listen, and someone who calls you all the time and still doesn't listen to you.
Are there clients that just call constantly? And even if you tell them what's going on, they're still calling.
Well, it's when you've sent them a letter and an email and a text message that all address the issue. You're trying to address it in advance, and then they call you and like, so I got this letter. Yeah? Well, what does it say? It's like, let me read it to you while we're on the phone here. Those are cringy phone calls.
I love it. Okay, well, you made it through that. I knew these lawyer shenanigans. I love it.
Do we have lots of shenanigans?
I'm finding more and more, and we're trying to make them harder, but there will always be some lawyerly way out of these, and I'm here for it, though.
I thought I was pretty direct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that was not the worst.
Okay.
We've had some ones where there's an entire, like, what's that? The closing argument, basically, to get out of these. So
okay.
That was great. Because you were Hona's first client, we have made an award for you.
Whoa.
This is the Quit Drowning in Phone Calls Award. And we hope that if we ever visit the True North office, we see this proudly displayed.
Okay.
Because at Hona, we believe that we help lawyers quit drowning in phone calls. Well, really quit drowning in unnecessary phone calls.
It even has my logo on it.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yes. Lexi here went all out for you.
Nice, nice. I mean, I don't know if I deserve this award since technically I was at a different firm when we signed on, but I'll take it nonetheless.
Well, you were an early adopter and you took a bet on us, and we're so grateful. We wouldn't be here without someone willing to take a bet and a chance on us, so we appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's your fishbowl.
Well,
and
thank you.
If you've seen us at conferences, we do a fishbowl head where it's my head's actually submitted in water and there's fish swimming around. So that's an homage to that.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being on. This has been amazing.
No, thank you. Great to visit with you guys.
All right. We'll see you for next episode of Live, Laugh, Lawsuit.